What's going on, guys? This is James Allen. I am recording this on Friday, October 10th, 2025. One viewer asked a question in the last video I posted about ICP that I felt was worth reading to everyone and answering publicly. So I'm going to go ahead and read it right now. This is coming from the Home Connect. He says, so, if ICP is the Theranos of Web3 crypto, where do we go from here? If we are still tired of the mainstream algorithms, what do we do from here? Any suggestions or help would be greatly appreciated. So what this viewer is basically asking is that since ICP seems to be a dud, what do we do? And let me say something right now that I didn't say ICP is the Theranos of Web3. I said it looks like, it's looking like Theranos, right? There's a difference because I don't know the internal documents of Dfinity. So I cannot say it's fraud for sure. All I could say is that it looks like fraud. If you look at the lack of transparency, the unrealistic hype, the sheer neglect of the community and builders like myself, this looks scammy, right? I don't know if it is scammy, but it looks like Theranos. So there's a difference between saying something looks like a particular item than saying it is, right? So I want to make sure I steer out of trouble here. But the question holds, what do we do from here? Well, I think the first thing we should do is learn our lessons, right? We should extract some lesson learned from this disastrous situation that we found ourselves in. So the first lesson I've learned from this disaster is that I should avoid long lockup periods. I'm never locking up my crypto for more than 2 years, to be honest. In fact, I would prefer 1 year, but I'm willing to do 2 years max. Anything more than 2 years, I'm not interested because the long 8-year lockup period is not just a prison, man. It destroys the feedback loop. It destroys the feedback loop between the builders and the community. It kills liquidity, right? And it destroys innovation. But more importantly, it creates a culture of silence, right? I cannot tell you how many people have privately messaged me in my inbox and said, hey, I know what you're saying is the truth, but I've put so much money on internet computer that I can't afford to lose it. So can you please stop doing what you're doing? Even though they know it's the truth, they're telling me to stop because they don't want to lose their life savings. And I'm big on integrity. I'm big on karma because I fully believe what comes around goes around. So if I know something is fraud and I've said like, okay, this is the hottest thing, I have to walk it back. So I ignored these emails and, I decided to keep going forward. But a lot of people have told me they know I'm telling the truth, but they have so much money locked up in internet computer that they can't afford to lose it. If I could please stop. So this long lockup period creates a culture of silence. And that's not something I want to experience again. So one, avoid long lockup period. Two, we should observe community responsiveness, right? Because one of the things I've learned from this terrible experience is that how the organization responds to the community and builders is a huge indicator of its future, right? Dfinity shows very little responsive to the community. Hell, it's ignoring me and I'm a builder, right? I'm a software developer, entrepreneur. I'm technically their dream builder in a way, right? Because I'm from Haiti. I really grew up in Haiti. Came to America in 2000, right? So like, I'm kind of like the model ICP has publicly said they're looking for, right? But when I show up in their face, look how they treat me, right? They don't even acknowledge me. I've never heard from Dfinity to this date. Despite all the tutorials I've done on ICP, and I've done a lot of technical tutorials. I know I've deleted most of them, but you guys know I'm telling the truth. I've done a lot of technical and non-technical stuff on them. I've never heard from them, not once. They're not even taking me seriously. So like I've learned community responsiveness is a huge indicator of the future of a blockchain. So that's one of the things I'm going to test now when I look at other protocols is how responsive they are to the community, how responsive they are to builders. The third thing I've also learned from this bad experience is that avoid any protocol with like centralized miners. And ICP had that red flag all over it. The node machines were so expensive. If you remember when I used to do technical tutorials on them, I've showed you guys that the node machine costs about $50,000. And you have to host them at a tier 3 or tier 4 data center, right? Which is going to cost you another $1,200 a month. Who the hell could afford that? So these expensive nodes, what that does, it concentrates the miners at the hands of a few. And again, I've done an episode in the past showing that, it's about 12% of the miners own pretty much 90% of the nodes in that computer. Heavily centralized. And you got to go through this red tape where you got to submit a request in an oath to Dfinity to just become a node operator, right? So extremely centralized hardware infrastructure. That's a massive red flag. If I see expensive nodes or most miners in the hands of a few, I'm going to avoid the protocol because I've learned from hard experience through internet computer. And the last one, the fourth point, is that avoid any crypto that talks about hype, that talks in hype. So when you see like Dom talking with this self-writing internet bogus nonsense, it's all hype, right? And there's nothing realistic about that. Using generative AI to create Web3 dApps, which are so difficult and such new territory. There's nothing realistic about that. It's all hype. It's all bullshit promotion. So if you see a crypto do something similar, avoid it. So these are the 4 red flags. Long lockup period, very little community engagement, very little community responsiveness, right? Hype and centralized miners. So avoid that. Now that that's out the way, this is our lesson learned from this tragic experience. Let's look at the opportunity in front of us. Because the truth is, we still need to find another blockchain, right? We still need to find another protocol that actually works and does what it's supposed to do. And you guys already know, I lost $120,000 on internet computer, right? I've lost 120 grand on this stuff, right? I've literally seen ICP go from a market cap of 45 billion to 2 billion. Talk about a tragedy. I've seen ICP go from a market cap of 45 billion to 2 billion, which is what it is today, right? Absolute disaster. So not only I have investor speculative needs, I'm still a Web3 developer, right? I'm still a Web3 developer. I still need a crypto for my project, right? CityXcape. CityXcape is live in production now. I'm currently doing some experimentation, which I will share with you in the future. I still need a Web3 protocol for my project. So I have a dual need, the speculative needs that you all have and the developer needs for my project. So this puts us in a great position to start exploring and start pressure testing different blockchains, which is exactly what I'm going to do with you guys. What I plan on doing is I'm going to hire an Android developer after I raise some capital, right? And once the platform is solid on both Android and iOS and all the tech debt is gotten rid of, because I got some tech debt right now, guys. I got a lot of tech debt. I'm going to be honest, because I'm doing everything. But once I clear the tech debt, the platform is working perfectly. The game is working perfectly cross-platform. And everything is documented. Both the Swift and the Kotlin code base is well documented. I'm going to hire an iOS developer so that I can focus on building the CityXcape web application in the smart contract layer. And this is where things are going to get really phenomenal for us. Once I'm working on a smart contract layer, I'm going to be sharing what I find with you. All the technical and non-technical knowledge you should know. So I'm going to be pumping technical knowledge for engineers who want to be Web3 developers and non-technical knowledge for everyone else, right? Because I'm going to be in the game doing wallet integration, writing smart contract for my missions, using their DLT for street cred cryptocurrency, right? So I'm going to be at the thick of it, right? And I want to do it myself. This is why I'm going to hire an iOS developer in the future. I want to do all the smart contract stuff myself. So as I'm exploring different crypto projects, because I'm going to pressure test all of them, I'm going to tell you guys which one is working for me on a developer front, because I actually need an infrastructure that delivers, right? Not just talk, right? I need something that delivers. So I think this is a huge opportunity for us to learn and discover what crypto is doing really good stuff out there. What crypto is real and what's fake. Because we know 90% of them will die, just like the dot-com bubble. But the few that remain, though, they're going to own the world because Web3 is the future. So next week, I think I do a video on Caspa. So make sure you watch that. That's going to be the first blockchain I cover. So take a look at that, guys. And any case my misfits, you know what to do. Don't forget to press that like button and support me on Patreon. I will see you next time.